I'm no punk bitch.
I ain't no punk bitch neither.
I'm no punk bitch.
Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as the Funky Chicken. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Oh, my goodness. We are in week number 2 of the NFL free agency frenzy, and I will say things have kind of died down. The Dallas Cowboys, after literally going crazy on signing, let's be crazy. Let's be serious here. The Dallas Cowboys have done more this free agency period than they've ever done. Than they have. Okay, we may not be as excited when you hear the big names, when you hear about Joey Bosa being signed, but I got to say, Dante Fowler played a hell of a lot better last year than Joey Bosa did. We're not, looking for the Cooper Cup. Of course, we got the Paris Campbells, but I'm not sure that the cake is done right now. I don't think that what you see right now is what we will see at the end of the season. Some of these guys that they've signed probably won't make the roster, but I liked having a conveyor belt of players coming in, and especially coming in early, because typically the Cowboys haven't made any moves other than re-signing their own guys. And when I look at this and I say, I know fans are pissed off still. We're pissed off. We're still saying the Cowboys haven't done anything. But I'm going to say that from a depth standpoint, from where we were this past year with the 7-10 season, that if Dak Prescott is healthy, and we have a bit of luck with our injury situation, we will be a better team. Just from the standpoint of having a better rotation. So most of y'all don't realize how huge it was bringing back Dante Fowler. And Dante Fowler tweeted out, put a picture of himself, howdy, I'm back and better. And that is the truth, but he wasn't bad when he was here. The Cowboys were just too short-sighted to say $3 million, which is what he ended up getting, $3.25 million from Washington, was too much to keep him. But the Cowboys are trying to be, as Stephen Jones said, selectively aggressive. In other words, bargain basement. But be that as it may, they are making some moves to at least fill out the roster. Fans ain't happy. They're never going to be satisfied until we win a Super Bowl. But probably win a Super Bowl, they're going to say we got to win it back-to-back. So we're never going to be satisfied. And I've learned of 9 years of doing YouTube, you can't make everybody happy. You can't. And there's no point even trying, because you will die trying. In the meantime here, we've got some news, of course. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase got paid.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
And that means the price tag has gone up for Micah Parsons. If you're Micah Parsons, you may be okay waiting and saying, I don't have to be the highest paid, because literally, had the Cowboys gotten this deal done before, he could have been the highest paid at 36. Now it's going to take 41. That's $5 million a year. $5 million more a year. Now, the Cowboys, as we sit here this morning, have $41.7 million right now to spend. That's a good chunk of change. The rookie class will cost less than $10 million. So that's $30 million right there. That doesn't add into it the extra money that is going to come in from anybody that they cut. There's still possibilities where they make moves pre and post June 1st that may actually help them on the cap. Zach Martin, come June, when he's transferred from being on the roster to dead money, will save him $1.25 million. I know it doesn't sound like much, but that's another player at the expense of the Cowboys of what they're signing. Micah Parsons, price tag is going up, but they will save money on this year's cap when they do get him signed. And for those out there that say he's not worth it, I hate to keep you using Joey Bosa as a measuring stick, but if you look at Joey Bosa, because everybody, oh my God, Joey Bosa, still today, people are like, Joey Bosa, man, we should have went out and got that guy. But what's amazing to me was actually looking at the statistics of Joey Bosa and Micah Parsons. And let me pull it up for just a second here. Joey Bosa has played for 9 years. Micah Parsons has played for only 4. And when I look at this comparison, it's just like blows me away because you think, the name Joey Bosa, you think, oh my God, how good that guy's been. You want to know the amazing thing about Joey Bosa is in his career, now the lion's share of his sacks happened his first 4 years with the Chargers. He had 10.5, 12.5, 5.5, and 11.5. After that first 4 years, he only had double-digit sacks one more time, and that was in 2021. But in his career, he's only got 72. I say only 72. 72 is still a lot. But he's only got 72 sacks. Micah Parsons, head-to-head, already in his young career, has 52.5. And every year that Micah Parsons has been there, with the exception of his rookie year, Micah Parsons has had more sacks than Joey Bosa's best season. When you start looking at these numbers, the solo tackles of Joey Bosa is 252. Micah Parsons, 172 in 4 years versus 9. Pro Bowls, 4 to 5. All Pros, 3. But you start looking at this and saying, damn, this is some serious production that you're getting from Micah Parsons. Now, again, I'm not trying to throw shade on Joey Bosa in his career. He has been fantastic. And what always happens when I pull up a comparison like this is people will say, well, you're just shitting on that guy to make your guy look better. No, what I'm saying is people will look and say Joey Bosa has been one of the consistent, really good players, over the course of the last 9 years, right? And when I did the same thing with Lawrence Taylor, oh my God, you can look and say, here's the numbers. My God, Giant fans, I guess because they don't have anything else going for them right now, go ape shit that how dare you talk about Micah Parsons. People, take it easy. Slow your roll. My point being is, and it was funny yesterday listening to Mo, well, all he does is get sacks. Okay. He's not great in the run game. Okay. But if you're one of the top sack getters in the NFL, if you're one of the top pressure getters in the NFL, then that is a incredible thing. There's some guys that are great as cover corners but can't intercept the football. Do you look and say, oh my God, well, he can't intercept the football, but he can cover a guy. But then there's other guys you look at that aren't great at covering people that are great at intercepting the football. Do you say, oh man, he's a bum, man, he only gets interceptions? Oh, actually, they did say that with Diggs, didn't they? Be that as it may, if you have one guy who can get, or actually I would say, if you have two guys that can constantly put pressure on the quarterback, bro, how many teams out there are looking for guys that can put pressure on the quarterback? If you've got that, let's say hypothetically, now you got Dante Fowler, and let's hope that Dante Fowler plays the same way. He is getting a little older. But if he can put pressure on the outside over there, and you got Micah Parsons over here, you're going to feast. Then what I need to say is, I need the guys in the middle now who can stop the run, because those guys typically, they can't rush the passer. D-Law was a great run stopper, but he wasn't a great pass rusher. We're not going around and saying, well, screw D-Law. He sucks because he's not a great pass rusher. We say he's a great run stopper. And I don't understand how people go through and constantly, the people that are performing at an elite level are the ones that they want to go ahead and get rid of. Oh, man, he's a bum. He's not doing everything. Oh, my God. He's doing more than 99% of the people out there. 99%. And so get me 11 of those guys, and I'd be happy. I'd be happy. And for D-Law, I understand D-Law is probably flustered. He's starting his life over towards the end of it, going to another city. I'm not sure exactly that he was trying to throw shade on the Cowboys. I think what he was really trying to say, I'm not a Cowboy anymore, so I'm not winning the Super Bowl there. I can't. You can't win a Super Bowl there if you're not there. It's like the lottery. You can't win if you don't enter. I believe that's what he was saying because I'm here. I'm here. I know I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. I'm here. I don't know that that was really shade thrown on the Cowboys. And people saying Micah Parsons needs to shut up. I don't know about that. Maybe he spoke a little too soon. Maybe he should have just brushed it off. But in some ways, he's defending his team. It's kind of like when somebody cheap shots your quarterback, and you remember how Zach Martin went over there and got a 15-yard penalty, jacking a dude up because he was defending his teammate and his team? How is this not the same thing? How is this not the same thing with Micah Parsons? For those out there that are saying, Micah Parsons, he's got his podcast. Would you rather him be out there drinking and driving and running somebody over? Would you rather have him out there racing his car, causing multiple accidents? Would you rather him be out there hanging in the club, getting tipsy, punching somebody in the face? Would you rather him abusing women? All we got is that he does a podcast. Like, he's the only guy in the NFL that's doing a podcast. Kelsey brothers, they signed a deal, a 3-year contract for $100 million. Ain't nobody talking about Kelsey. Ain't nobody talking about Kelsey. Or that maybe Taylor Swift is a distraction. I dare say Taylor Swift is a more of a distraction than, say, a 1-hour podcast on Tuesdays. And do we honestly believe that if Micah Parsons didn't do that 1-hour podcast, that he would be, at the facilities having practice for an hour more a day? And for D-Law, I hate to say this, man. I love you, D-Law, but you were here 7 years before Micah Parsons. You were the de facto leader. Did we do better then, before Micah and his podcast? I dare say in the 4 years that Micah Parsons has been here, where you had 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, one losing season, hate to say this, but that's the best period of football the Cowboys have played, be it not much postseason success, but consistently 3 12-5 seasons. We weren't doing that before Micah Parsons. And we saw in real time when Micah Parsons went out, this defense was historically bad. When he came back, they were at least respectable and ended up being one of the most sacking teams in the NFL. So if you cannot see the value of that, then maybe you should not be watching football. I will say, Cowboys, you need to get this thing done. You need to get this thing done. Now, as far as free agency goes, I think the Cowboys have actually done – I'm not going to turn around and say we have the talent of the Eagles right now. I'm not going to say that. But I think the Cowboys are actually just starting, and they're trying to do things. Yeah, the Miles Sanders instead of Rico kind of makes you scratch your head, but that makes you think that, of course, they're going to be drafting a running back. And some of these guys that we currently have may not even be on the roster when it comes to the season finally getting here. Paris Campbell, the thing I will say that maybe what the Cowboys are looking at is if you take the model of some of the players that we had in the 90s, a lot of them were not necessarily, they weren't first-round draft picks. You had some guys that had not done what people thought they would do. Nate Newton, for example. Nate Newton was overweight. Washington said, the hell with this guy. The dog can't hunt. He goes to USFL. The Cowboys signed him, and Tony Wise coached him up. And for those out there that say Brian Schottenheimer doesn't have experience, of being a head coach that he's not the hot coordinator that should have gotten hired. Well, the thing that made Jimmy Johnson great was he had great assistant coaches, great minds, where he oversaw what they were doing, and they were able to coach up players and get the most out of them. Cowboys center, Mark Spignowski, was an undersized guard, and they coached him up to be a center. Nate Newton, like I said, journeyman. Mark Tuinei, defensive tackle. The coaches coach the players. And what the Cowboys have done with some of these players that we have is they're looking to try and find a new source of talent and figuring we'll bring in guys that had a pedigree that were thought to be better than what they were, and we'll be able to coach them to be better than what they've been. Some of them, maybe that'll work. When you look at a guy like Paris Campbell or Jonathan Mingo, you look and say, Paris Campbell's got speed, just hasn't been given necessarily the opportunity when he was with the Eagles, and may have not had the best of coaching. The Cowboys, by getting these guys in here now, gives them the opportunity to work with them in OTAs and minicamp to see, are these guys good enough, and do we need to go ahead and find somebody else? And the amount of players that they brought in, and it's a lot right now. We've re-signed a lot of guys and signed a lot of guys. Gives them an opportunity to select from a bigger pool. I like that. So let's go, as we get out of here, to get up with the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins details and how it affects the Dallas Cowboys.
Micah on this yet, because Micah Parsons, when Myles Garrett got his deal and became the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, he was very excited about it. That mark has now been surpassed. So the question is, did Micah's price tag just go up?
I think it did. I think two guys, T.J. Watt, who's likely due for an extension this offseason, and Micah Parsons as well. So highest paid non-quarterback in the league. Myles Garrett was that for roughly a week. And I would imagine Jamar Chase will have that title for longer, but probably not at the start of this season.
If I'm Micah, I'm in no rush. Let Dallas continue to hold out. Continue to let T.J. Watt get paid. Let the price go up a little bit more. I'll continue to wait till the deadline how you guys do things, and I'll take the most money I possibly can.
By the way, good for Jamar Chase, by the way. Like contract negotiations, he didn't want to be the highest paid receiver. He wanted to be the highest paid non-quarterback. That's a $4 or $5 million a year difference.
Well done.
Good work by him.
They could have, and I said it at the time, so this is the one thing that I had right. I told you earlier, this is what I had wrong, here's what I had right. They should have signed him last year, right? There was never any question.
I mean, they tried.
Jamar Chase is the future.
Good for him for waiting and winning the receiver triple crown in the meantime.
But didn't he want a deal last year? Didn't he hold out? Didn't he
agree? But he played the whole season.
Right.
And look what happens. Like if you wait, sometimes that's the right move.
No, I understand. It certainly worked out very well for him. We'll see. It winds up costing them more than it might have otherwise. We'll take a short break on scene. It's foggy as all get out outside. And while you were sleeping, huge news happened from the NFL. The Bengals have a great duo of wide receivers. Well, last night they received it with new 4-year contract extensions. Jamar Chase, $161 million, 112 of it guaranteed.
40.25.
$115 million, the first 2 years guaranteed. Chase becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, which is something that Myles Garrett was for now, I guess, 2 weeks. So this is an enormous amount of money for two wide receivers, but it's probably worth it. Just look at the production that you are getting from these guys. Chase, if you wanted to make an argument, he's the best in the whole league. You would get no fight out of me.
There's
Higgins, while he's been beat up a little bit at times
understand.
during his career, still averages nearly 1,000 yards per season, and that's with Chase on the other side of the field. So, Dan, what happened? Look, I went to sleep last night. I wake up this morning. What happened here?
This was in the works end of last week, and there was some news on it on Friday afternoon, so it doesn't come as a total shock. But the Bengals told us they were going to do this. They have been saying throughout the offseason, look, we're going to get these guys signed. Our cap is in a good situation. Joe Burrow was very clear this is what he wanted, and he's an important person in that organization. So they have these elite talents at wide receiver. They give them the commensurate deals. Duke Tobin, their director of pro personnel, said at the combine that Jamar Chase was going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL.
He is.
And right now he is. We'll see how long that lasts. But now the next thing is Trey Hendrickson, who's been out there looking for a trade and a new contract from a new team. But don't be surprised if they end up with a deal for him too.
I look at this from a defensive perspective as I look at it. Secondaries all across the league are nervous. We got to go out there and line up against both of these guys. But also the Cincinnati Bengals secondary is nervous because now there is no help on the way. And I look at this for the new defensive coordinator, Al Golden, and all those defensive coaches. Yeah. Now you're going to have to put a scheme together week in and week out without having probably the same talent pool as some of these other teams in the league. I love the fact that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins have gotten paid. They absolutely deserve it. They've been two of the best players at their position. But from a roster building standpoint, if you're the Bengals, have you gotten a step closer to winning a Super Bowl with getting both of these guys deal done? Do you have enough to continue to build this roster and improve on a season last year that didn't warrant a playoff appearance?
So we're really having two separate conversations. We're having the conversation about them doing the deals, and then we're having the conversation about is their defense even remotely good enough for them to use it to challenge it? How about it, Neek? I mean, I've got two, secondary players here today. Give me a sense, like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it's as good as it gets in the NFL, right? And wrapping them up is the right thing to do regardless of the price tag, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love it as a strategy. I think sometimes we get caught up in trying to fill all of our holes when honestly, when we look at some of the best teams, they're just so great at one individual thing that it distorts the defense or distorts the offense that they have to go up against.
There you go.
This receiver duo with this quarterback is that type of good. And I also like the fact that they're following what Joe Burrow wants. I think a lot of teams, a lot of coaches and front offices are looking for their players to take ownership of the team. They know now this is what you wanted. They're going to do everything they can to make this a success. And I think if you are going to gamble and roll the dice with talent on one side of the ball or the other, it's certainly going to be defense than it would be offense. So I like what they're doing given how they're built in this situation. I don't think it makes them a favorite necessarily, but you got Joe Burrow, you're going to be a competitor.
If you could be exceptional somewhere, then it's a good idea to do it. If they had two stud edge rushers and they had to pay both of them and then figure it out on offense, then that's probably the way they'd go. But look, there's a model here. The Philadelphia Eagles just won the Super Bowl. They're paying their quarterback near the top of the market. They're paying two wide receivers over $25 million a year. Their defense was excellent.
They're paying the running back
because
top
they have drafted well and they've gotten high-level production out of young players on the defensive side of the ball. That's what the Bengals have to do now in order to cash this in.
And that's what they've been trying to do. It just hasn't worked out. But to you guys' point, you have two superstar players. You wanted to keep those guys there. You tried to build around it. There's going to be question marks. But give the Bengals credit. We've criticized them for years for not paying the talent that they have in-house. They did that with these deals.
Yes, so let's start with that. That's awesome. And I should apologize. Okay, I'm willing to apologize. I said on Friday it was starting to feel like same old Bengals with what was going on in Cincinnati. And obviously I was wrong. I thought that they were not going to bring back. I thought that things might go sideways with Chase. I certainly didn't think they were going to bring back T. Higgins. No. And I thought that they were, for lack of a better word, purposely over asking on the Hendrickson deal. I feel like that was just sort of the vibe that was out there so that they wouldn't wind up having to trade him and force him to come in on their own terms. Clearly, this suggests that this is a new day in Cincinnati. This is not the way they used to do business.
No, it's not. And
here's where I'll say that right now with the Cowboys, this is a different day for us. Now, they need to take a lesson and understand that nobody sits here and really wins without having multiple targets. You really need to have multiple things that you can feed on. If the Cowboys don't get themselves another really good wide receiver, it's more difficult for the quarterback. And at this point in Dak Prescott's career, we have to recognize that he's 30 years old and he can't run. So the best thing you can do is spread out the field. Spread out the field with two receivers that are really good and a third one that'll be good too, decent, and a tight end who can block, and a running game. If you get all of the above, hey, and I don't want to hear, well, we can't pay people, we can't. Bullshit. If you want to do something, you can. You got $41 million, almost 42 right now. You need to get Micah Parsons done because it's just cost us another $6 million for Micah Parsons right now. At the price that we're paying players, that's like 5 players. Let's be real here. Or one really good one. So we need to get to work again and try and get this thing done. And I will say that the contract is also a two-way street. You know, we can hear Micah Parsons say, you know, I want to get this thing done and so on, you know, but it's the agent that's actually doing all that. He gets to be the bad guy. Alrighty, good people, as always, you know I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And let me again thank everybody for all the thoughts, the prayers, and everything that you guys have done. You guys keep me grounded in the world. And we're going to get back to work and get this thing together and hope and pray that the Cowboys finally get their shit right. In the meantime, I got to get out of here.
Sad anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Down, get a hold of yourself.
Just please let me handle this.
I've got to get
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Oh, do you want another phone?